First of all, in terms of the captain handband, even Arteta go don rethink am say no be Odegaard suppose collect am after making some new signings. I feel there are other players in that team who can actually do better with that armband. Yeah.
Welcome once again to the Late Go podcast. Like I usually say, the drama never ends on the Late Go podcast. Um, this is the part two of today's episode. And on part two, like we usually do, we'll be discussing or analyzing certain topics in depth, just to get the views of some of our guys on the team, and to provoke the thoughts of some of our viewers, see what they think about certain opinions and certain reactions. On today's episode, we've got on today's session, we've got two particularly interesting topics. I'm not going to give you the topics now, but before we go into all of that, I've got one question that has been on my mind since we started recording tonight, and I'm going to throw it to both Arsenal fans that we have on the show. Before I do that, I forgot to introduce Tosin. You guys are already familiar with the guys on the team. They were here during the first session. I've got Tayo, I've got Samson, I've got Cass. Ahmed should be joining us at some point. Possibly Jacob's JD as well. But Tosin has just joined us for the second session. How are you doing tonight, Tosin?
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm very well, thanks.
And how are you feeling following last week's result?
Mixed feelings.
Ramontada.
Well, we're hoping to do the remontada to come back against PSG instead
That's
of,
so.
let's see how it goes. I'm not that confident, but I believe with Partey back in the team, that should help the team.
This Partey, that all of you. By the way, Tayo is also an Arsenal fan. Even too, he has been shouting Partey.
Of course, of course,
Right?
of course.
If you analyze the game, you would, or if you analyze Arsenal practically, if you notice, Partey is the key man in Arsenal's midfield, right? Is the one who protects the defense and as well allow Rice to play the box-to-box midfield, right? So if you look at the game against PSG, there was nobody to do that. Rice had to sit back. Mikel Merino could not do that work.
Could not.
So it was the only time we were able to get that kind of opportunity was when Miles Kelly had to move the ball to the front. So and which is what Partey usually do for us. So since Partey was not in that game,
This your
we really missed him, and we hope second leg we're able to come back and make the finals, at least to play Barcelona instead of Inter Milan.
All right. So earlier I mentioned that there's a question that I want to ask Arsenal fans. The question is very simple.
Dunga, can you adjust your camera, please?
There's been a bit of I wouldn't call it a bit. There's been English dominance in European competitions this season. I mean, we've got Arsenal in the semi-final of the Champions League. We've got Tottenham and Manchester United possibly playing in the final of the Europa League. And we've got Chelsea with one leg. In fact, I was 1.5 legs in the final of the Conference League. Now, my question to both Arsenal fans, please, if you're not an Arsenal fan, do not answer this question. My question to both Arsenal fans is this. Would you sign up to go trophyless this season? Would you sign up to go trophyless this season if it means that you would win the UCL? Well, next season, rather. Would you sign up to go trophyless next season if it means that you would win the UCL, the Champions League, this season?
In a heartbeat.
Oh, wow. Tosin.
I think every season we are supposed to compete for at least something. So I would say when we win the Champions League this season, there's still an opportunity for us to win something next season.
No. Don't Tinubu me here. You're not an APC member, Mr. Man. I'm saying if it was a decision, if a genie appeared in from a lamp now and says, Tosin, I want to grant you one wish, but there are conditions attached or something like that, and says, you will go trophyless this season if you want to win the Champions League this season. It's almost like when they say people want to do money ritual. or you have to sacrifice something in order to
In our
get this.
history, we've never won Champions League. So why not? Definitely we will want to win the Champions League this
Oh
season.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
See,
That's
That's too easy.
what
That's too
what do
easy.
what do crypto sellers, crypto traders call it? They call it fear of missing out. Arsenal fans do not want to miss out of trophies. Considering the fact that Tottenham might end up with a trophy, Chelsea might end up with a trophy, Newcastle have got a trophy, and Liverpool have also got a trophy.
see
So, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. I just thought to
the
get that
biggest
out of
fear.
my mind to see if it's something that Arsenal fans are interested in. Now, the first thing that we're going to discuss um, on this session is quite simple. It has to do with two legends of the game. I mean, I would call these two players legends. One is retired, the other one is still very much active. The retired one would be an Arsenal legend, Thierry Henry. He won two Premier League titles with Arsenal. He never won the Champions League with Arsenal. He won quite a number of cups with Arsenal as well. He's one of the players that I would consider the face of the Premier League. At least when the Premier League started gaining, when the Premier League was rebranded in '92 towards when he arrived in '97 or '98 or thereabouts, he was the face of the Premier League at that time. The other player now would be Mohamed Salah, a Liverpool legend by all means, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, he's done what legends like Steven Gerrard have not even done, even though Gerrard won. In fact, Gerrard won the Champions League. Salah has also won the Champions League, but Gerrard never won the Premier League. Now, Mohamed Salah also has two Premier League titles. He won the Champions League with Liverpool. He has more goals than Arsenal, more Premier League goals than Arsenal. Now, based on your opinion, do you believe that Mohamed Salah has surpassed Thierry Henry's legacy in the Premier League? Now, before you answer the question, I want you to consider this question carefully. The reason I've said that is because I have not said that who is the better player. I have not said that who's had a better career. My question is who has had the better legacy in the Premier League? So the question is specific towards the Premier League. I'll let you go first, Samson.
Okay. This is a tough one. Personally, I would say Salah has surpassed Henry's legacy in the Premier League, and it's not by much. It's if you look at the two of them critically, they share a lot of similar stats in their course of time in the Premier League. They have two Premier League titles each. Salah has won the Champions League, which is an extra, which gives him extra points. Aside from that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Mohamed Salah is the second highest goal scoring foreigner in the Premier League. That alone, it's a magnificent feat for a winger.
Who's top of that
Uh,
list?
the, no, Aguero is top of that list. I'm not sure
I
Salah's.
think he has overtaken Aguero. I think
I wanted to
He has
mention that. I
overtaken.
think he has overtaken Aguero,
he
if
has
Oh,
I'm not
overtaken
mistaken.
Aguero as
But
well.
I'm not
He has
sure.
overtaken Aguero.
But just to add
now
a bit
that's
of spice, Samson, before you continue, you also have to consider the fact that Henri had the Ballon d'Or podium during his podium finish in the Ballon d'Or
Twice,
rather during his time in the
twice.
Premier League. So I'm just adding a bit of spice to it to see if I can throw you off and maybe change your mind a bit.
I would still go with Salah because you limited me to the Premier League.
Okay.
Uh, it's it's not by much. It's not by much. And another thing to factor in is that Mohamed Salah is still active. He has the opportunity to win a third Premier League next season. I think he is the third or fourth highest goal scorer for Liverpool. I'm not sure he can get to number one, but he would get to number three or number. I don't know if he can get number two. But personally, I would say Salah has surpassed Thierry Henry's legacy in the Premier League. Uh, Thierry Henry won 3 golden boots. I think Salah has equaled that also. Uh, Salah will be winning the Playmaker Award this season also. I mean,
Oh, Henry won that as
the
well, if I'm not
Playmaker.
mistaken.
No, there was no Playmaker Award.
I mean, highest
But
assist, if I'm not
Indeed,
mistaken.
highest assist. He
yeah,
won the
yeah,
highest assist.
he has that season. He had 20 assists. Nobody has even beaten that 20 assists. Anyways, I think De Bruyne equaled
All
that
right.
20 assists. So
Uh,
Salah for me.
it looks like Tayo is raring to go, so I'm putting him on next.
Yeah, for me, honestly, Ori is not just a name. I don't want to be biased right now. I don't want to be biased, honestly.
But you will
But
be biased.
This is what you say
Henri,
when you actually want to be biased.
When you're about to be biased.
Without due respect,
I I really don't think Henri's legacy. I really don't think Salah can actually outmatch Henri's legacy. To be very honest, yeah, fine. We are talking about stats here. If you are going by stats, okay, we can say okay, maybe if he just pass some small. But going by some at least let's talk about the unbeaten season. It's something nobody has achieved yet. Aside Henry as a striker in the league.
But that was a team effort.
Yeah, but then it was the top nine at the time. It was the top nine at the time. It was one striking for Arsenal.
I'm
So
just saying, if you're going to use that as a point for Henri, you could as well use it for Patrick Vieira or Roberto Silva.
no, but the
Do they
contest,
have better legacies than Mohamed Salah?
but the contest is Henry and Salah. You get
Okay, please
is Henry and
continue.
Salah. Yeah. So I know I just feel Henry is a much more even most of these players these days when you ask them they tell you they want to be like Henry. They watch Arsenal because of Henry. They watch because of Henry. So basically for me, I don't want to start going to stats because the stats is just it's just by an inch. It's not something we can really you know so care so much about. So for me, it remains on me until maybe two seasons from now. Maybe Salah might actually, show the stats bigger than what it is right now, and I'll say okay. But for
Okay.
now, as we speak, I think I'll choose Henry still.
I'm tempted to jump next to Tosin, but I do not want two Arsenal fans to follow each other. So I'm going to go to, I'll go to JD instead. JD, let's hear your thoughts.
Talking about Thierry Henry's legacy being better by Mohamed Salah. As at this point, I do not agree because that can sometimes be manipulative and Henry, what Henry did in the Premier League transcends beyond just statistics. He was a overall, Henry was a monster. He all by himself created memories in the eyes of Arsenal fans and Premier League fans as well. What he did in the Invincibles season is still playing around in the Premier League. I think Malaysia is the outside top player in the Premier League this year, but he doesn't get talked much about us. Um, so I think what Salah has done has been incredible, but it still doesn't match his legacy. Given that while playing for Arsenal in the Premier League, he had two podium finishes in the Ballon d'Or. He finished third on the podium in the FIFA Next Player of the Year award. He won about 4 golden boots in the Premier League. Salah has won three, about to win his fourth, but two of those golden boots are shared. Only won two
uh-huh.
European golden awards, all while playing for Arsenal. I think he won the UEFA Cup about twice, the Community Shield about twice too. So I think for now, unless Salah does something that's proud now in the next 1 2 seasons.
I
Like
would
he's
Oh,
also
still
like to
unbeaten.
add that during Henri's time at Arsenal, he was on fire with his national team. I mean, he was
Yeah,
really good
exactly.
for France as well. He was almost unplayable during that
He
period. But
won
I do not want to take sides.
they won
I'll let
the Euro
Cass take
2000.
over.
you don't want to take sides, right? I get.
I do not want to take sides. I'm very neutral on this one, I beg.
I was just trying to look at Salah's stats and also look at Henry's stats. In as much as I'm not a big fan of stats, but then in situations like this,
they've both played at the big stage. They've both had the opportunity to express themselves. We cannot do a comparison of Henry in France to Salah in Egypt. Both
Thank
teams
you.
are not the same. They are not. It will not be a fair comparison. You can't consider the kind of people. You cannot be playing in front of Zidane and not expect quality pass getting to you. You can't compare it to one
Playing with Abuchuka.
Abitreka or
I'm Mohamed
one
Zidane.
Mohamed.
Zidane na Zidane.
You understand what I'm trying to say?
Zidane as Zidane.
Anyways, we just have to, because this conversation would have been different if Salah had been an English
A
player
Brazilian.
or is a Brazilian. The conversation would have been totally different.
Salinho.
And football is not
You've
overly
still not picked a
about.
side. Cass, you are giving me
No,
political
I'm
answer.
no. I'm going somewhere. I'm going somewhere.
Okay.
My side,
Okay.
like I said,
Okay.
I'm going to go with Salah because irrespective of if we are talking of, because you have limited us not to
That's
go
not
to some
surprising.
areas, and that's why I'm going to stick with Salah.
That's
And
not
I
surprising.
looked at his start. This guy, even when he was shipped to Roma, he was still doing double digits back then. That's how good he was
Roma
back
has
then.
no play in this particular discussion.
No.
We're talking about
I'm saying
Premier League.
I'm talking of his consistency, how he has been giving
You
out
are behaving
the
like
performance
INEC.
back to back
Ah,
to
Do
back
No,
you,
to
do you
back.
also
I'm
want
just
to tell me
saying
that when he went
limit
to
your
that place,
argument within the scope of the discussion. Do
exactly.
not talk
who is
about
Balu
Roma. Do not talk
Olubebe
about
in this
Barcel.
discourse?
Talk about
In the Premier League since 2017 2018, this guy has had 44, 27, 23, 31, 30, 25. Those numbers back then and now are great
Insane.
numbers anytime, any day. We can't
unless you are
just look
Messi
at
or
those numbers
Ronaldo.
and
That's true.
just say, yeah, and we can't just look at those numbers and say, oh, and for crying out loud, this guy has never played as his top nine. He's always playing from the wings. Henry at some point has played as a top nine and he also played from the left wing. So you have to give it to him. I'm not even talking of his assist. The assist is there. But
He
then,
has more assists than Henry.
it is it is what it is. This guy has done,
Legacy.
he has seen,
Underline the word
and he
legacy.
has
But
come.
it's fine.
So when we are talking of legacy, we just talked about how he had a. Do you think it's
Are
easy
we limiting
to
the comparison
overtake
to just
a
statistics?
player?
You know why I'm
No, no,
laughing?
no. I've not been
Everybody
Tosin's
limiting
face
to
is
has everybody
statistics.
completely expressionless. So I do not even know where
has
it's going. Even though I have an idea of where
honestly.
he might go to, but he has not. His
So
poker face is not even letting me know where he might. He might,
so
Tosin is just
at the
absorbing everything.
Oh my
at the end of the day, I'm going with Salah. Salah has more legacy. Salah has left something that people have to catch up with, even if he decides to retire today in the Premier League. So when we are talking of legacy, what are we looking
Something
at?
that Henry did
What
not
He
do.
has
landmark did
beaten a
he
lot
leave?
of Henry's
Yes.
records. Too.
On his
okay.
record as well. So which
He has
Because
beaten a
of
lot of it.
Tosin's expressionless face, I'll allow him go last. Ahmed, you are going next. Ahmed,
Sorry,
what do you think?
I will pass on this one. Let me remain neutral. I want to hear from Tosin instead.
Okay, Tosin, let's go.
Right. I kept quiet because I wanted to listen to everyone's opinion. Yeah. So, yes, according to stats, right now, Salah has it. Well, we're talking about legacy, face of the Premier League,
Exactly.
icon.
Exactly.
Do you
Exactly.
know what I mean? Icon.
Exactly.
When you talk about Premier League today,
Exactly.
Igwe.
you know, you would mention, yeah,
Igwe
everybody
one.
knows him. When you mention Premier League, you can't mention Premier League without
You
Henry.
Of
mentioned
course.
That's
Thierry.
just the fact. Because, yeah, Salah is there, quite all right, but there are some players that cannot be forgotten. People like Henry. These are the face of Premier League. These are the one. Ronaldo played in the Premier League. Of course, Ronaldo played in the Premier League, but you still, everybody will still go back to Henry, face of
Definitely.
the Premier League.
Definitely.
He played when the Materazzi, all those great defenders were playing, not the likes of what's the name now, Van Dijk,
Saliba.
all these.
What do you
I'm a
mean?
bit
It's
What
shocked
do you
that
mean?
it's
your first
it's
example of a great defender is
Um,
Materazzi Shabakun.
no, these are
That's why I
good
that
gave him
defenders. Them
is
Saliba.
Nesta and
not
Co. Them Nesta, them
He's a World
Maldini.
Cup winner.
You know, you know.
No,
Henri
Saliba is
has
a great
done
defender,
many
though.
things. Went
Fair
to
enough.
Bernabeu, scored a goal there, played against the
It's what
greatest
noting
of the
that when
greatest.
Tosin is referring
You
to
know,
great defenders, they can't remember any in the Premier League. He's speaking from a competition field.
no, no,
Materazzi.
no, 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 no. Henri played when
A
them John Terry
treble
was
winner.
there. These are great defenders as
When
well.
when there was Jamie Carragher.
No, 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 no. I'm not mentioning all those names. We're talking about them, John
Tony
Terry, them
Adams.
Osai, Henry played against these great defenders in the Premier League. Not all these, what is it, Ben Stokes,
Maguire.
all these
Gabriel,
players now.
Saliba.
Yeah, so,
No, when football was
no,
still
Saliba is a
football.
quality defender. Don't just mention Saliba like that. But as I'm saying,
Now
so
the game is gone now.
me,
The game is
I'll pick
gone.
sides. This one is not about any. I'll pick side. I'll still pick Henri any day, anytime ahead of Salah. Yeah,
Of course.
Salah has he has the
Absolutely.
stats. He has. Do you know what it means to call someone Igwe? Do you know what it means?
He
Nobody
has
knows
the
what it
mental.
Nigerian
means in
bias.
Brazil. Nobody
He
knows
earned
what
it.
Igwe means in Brazil or in
That's
As,
a
Argentina.
Nigerian
as I
bias.
said, in Africans,
That-
Let,
It's
let,
only
let,
Everyone
let me
Nigeria
needs
that
to
we
I
know
was
know
what
going
it.
to
Igwe
say
is.
I
let,
was going to
let, let
say
me tell you one
it's
thing.
sounding more like a Nigerian bias, but it's
Was
okay.
it
Let's
was it one country from the
Allow.
or is it from this American country? They were playing. I think I can't remember the name of the country. One guy went to meet Henri. It was like, "You are my idol." Do you know
Yeah,
what it means
during
to
the
always say that?
CONCACAF, I think it was
Do,
CONCACAF Gold Cup
do,
final or something. There
do
was
you know what it
one
means to
Panama.
say that?
It's
When
one
you
a
have
match
one
in
talked
Panama
to
CONCACAF.
striker.
Henri, Turam that plays for Inter Milan, these people are looking up to Henri. Do you know
Their,
what it means to be Henri?
their
His
country
father
is
and Henri are close now. There's nothing special about that one.
This one is not about father or anything.
Henri is
All
a
these people are
French
looking
player.
up to Henri.
Why
Henri is
are
a
we have
French
people looking
player, a
up to
French
him?
World Cup winner.
Anyways, let's not dwell too much on that. But while we were discussing this, something came to my mind. I know I didn't plan to discuss about this, but I'm just going to ask you guys briefly. Now, during Henri's era, we had quite a number of players. But we can all agree that Henri stood out as the face of the Premier League at the time. Now, if you look at the Premier League now, who would you consider the face of the Premier League right now?
Premier League does not have any face right now.
Sanchez.
To me,
Many face
Because
God.
you are not
it's
winning.
faceless.
Because Arsenal is not winning.
It's faceless. No,
So
no,
I'm
okay,
going to
okay,
ask you
No.
guys one after
okay.
the other. I'll begin with JD. Who do you consider the face of the Premier League at this very moment?
At this very moment, undoubtedly that's the moment. Right about now, it has to be Mohamed Salah. No one else is doing it better than what
It's like,
I I think
is anyone here?
he was trying to say something
He
controversial.
said
Yeah, he
it's
said
Mohamed
Mohamed
Salah. He
Salah.
said it has
He
to be
said
Mohamed
Mohamed
Salah.
Salah.
Mohamed Salah.
it has
Okay.
to be Mohamed Salah.
Ahmed,
Right about now, no one is doing it better than him.
Wow. Right about now, obviously it has to be someone from City because they've won they've won how many drop now? Um I'm tempted to say
I don't
Haaland.
agree, Sha.
I'm tempted to say
Virgil van
Haaland.
Dijk. I'm just going to be throwing names. Virgil van Dijk, Aland,
No.
I would say
Salah.
Haaland.
Uh, I could have said
Sancho.
De
Okay.
Bruyne, but then
Tayo,
I'm
he has not been impressed for that season now.
Anthony.
Yeah,
Maguire, Bruno Fernandes,
Anthony is
Onana.
Jadon
let's be
inconsistent.
Sancho.
honest, yeah.
I just want to hear Saka. I've not heard Saka today at all.
See, if I'm to say,
Saka was
bro, if you're looking at the face of Premier League, we have to look at teams that are performing, teams that has been there, that's been consistent over the years, yeah, and still very much there as we speak. At the moment, the team that's been there over the years, I would say Man City, and at the moment they are not there. You understand? And uh, for me, the way I see when you say face of something, the way I place it, there's nobody on that level now in the league. I won't lie to you. There's nobody. Maybe that's the way
So
I
the
place
Premier
it.
League does not have a face.
He does
I
not have a
don't
face.
agree.
He does not have a face. For me,
It looks like Tosin agrees with you. Or am I wrong?
Of
Am I
course
wrong?
now. Arsenal is not
The,
winning
the,
now.
the,
Why will Premier League
the
have
truth
face?
the truth of the matter is you can see how we are all deliberating to pick someone from the Premier League, face of the
You
Premier
see
League.
people that are
When
deliberating. Oh.
when you go back to the Maurice time, you'll be like, ah, this is the face of the Premier League. This is the face of the Premier League. But now it's just so Premier League is just so odd. As far as I'm
Ahmed,
concerned, it's just so
what did your neck?
No, to be honest, we
Tosin,
have too
Tosin.
many classy players in those
Objectively
days.
speaking, even
We have
during the
Thierry,
times
we
of
have
I
Henry,
like
we have
how
Henry, there
Arsenal
were
Ferdinand,
fans
content
we
always
have
agree.
Ferdinand, we have Vieira.
Tosin,
A lot
Tosin.
of
I've
them.
seen
You
A
would
lot
have
of
known
they
it's
them.
didn't
only
think
Arsenal that is
alike.
playing.
It's
You
almost
think
like they
you
have
think
somewhere
Tosin,
that
now
they
you
do
you.
meeting.
you think it was only
Somewhere
Arsenal
that they
that
always
existed?
meeting. You agree on these things.
it's just thank God. I don't know if you guys used to watch Premier League in those days,
We didn't have TV.
Of course.
Uh-uh.
right? Because when you do, you would know. See, so many people started supporting Arsenal because of how
So
Arsenal
many
plays football.
Nigerians.
I
Let
won't
us
say
be
Nigeria. So many
specific.
people. I
Yinka.
don't know
Henry was in
if
Arsenal for 8 years.
I
And
don't
in
know.
that 8 years, we can say he was the face of the Premier League.
Of
Now
course.
For
let's
Nigerians, it was
rewind.
Okosha. You know how many people Okosha drove to both him?
Okocha Kamini.
Let's okay. Now let's rewind 8 years. So there was a season Man City won the league, and De Bruyne was injured for half of the season. For the past 8 years, it has to be Salah. It is Salah. There's no
It can't be
that has
Salah,
been the
bro. I
face of the
disagree.
Premier League.
I disagree. A season where Man City won the league back to back 4 times, and you cannot pick a
Well,
player from
Henri
that
did
team
not
and say
win
it
the
is
league
Salah.
every year in those 8 years
Henry
now.
won only two,
Henri
oh,
won
two in
it
eight
twice.
years. In 8 years,
So that
And it
argument
was
is
the
dead on
face.
arrival.
he won two
No,
in
but
eight
it's,
years.
it's the
Cass, who do you think the face of Premier League is?
I will keep my answer as simple and as brief as Salah. Let us not gloss over. Like I said, I was giving you numbers. I'm not talking of his assist. We are just talking about Rafinha having 55 goals, and we are saying that's crazy. But we don't want to say the same thing for Salah. When you put his goals and assists together, it's almost having about 50 something. But we are not saying it's crazy. Why? He's even playing quote and unquote in the tougher league and is getting those numbers. And we are saying it's not the face. Then who is the face? Is he Maguire?
Haaland.
Or who?
Thierry
With that
Henry's
instinct.
best
See,
season. Thierry
let me
Henry's
give you
best season,
let me
Arsenal. He had 44 goals
If
involvement.
not,
Salah
if
has
not for
had
injuries,
45
though.
goals involvement in a
okay.
season.
Against
So
which defenders did Henry play?
let me even give you let me paint a scenario to you. If Arsenal goes this season to win the Champions League and Saka scores 3 goals or 2 goals or Declan Rice scores, because now Declan Rice has only scored 2 free kick and they are talking about I've seen some comparison between Junio
Somebody told me Declan Rice is better than
and
Rodri.
Declan Rice.
I'm still looking for that guy.
I've seen a lot
Anyways,
of
we don't
teams.
want we don't want to make this we
So
don't want to make
So
this
people
this an
agree.
anti-Arsenal discussion because it's beginning to sound like
no,
that.
no, definitely, definitely.
Um, we're going to quickly move on to our next topic because we don't have too much time, and this is about Arsenal. Even though I said that we don't want to make it an Arsenal discussion, but we still have to discuss,
Fate,
about
fate
this.
brought Arsenal to the table
This
again.
is a topic that I particularly find. This is something that makes me curious, basically, and it's about
Me, I will
Martin
start for
Odegaard,
this one. I will start.
Arsenal's captain. He's been their captain for about 2 or 3 seasons now, if I'm not mistaken. Arsenal fans
Yeah.
can correct me.
Yes,
And
please.
in that time, I think the only thing he has led Arsenal to would be the Community Shield, maybe twice. He hasn't led Arsenal to the Premier League title, FA Cup zero, Carling Cup zero, Champions League. Maybe if they can do it this season, we'll see. Now, my question is this: if you consider Martin Odegaard's numbers, goals and assists, that on one side. If you consider his ability to lead as a captain, there's this aura, there's this um attribute that a leader
Charisma.
should have. Is it charisma? That's the word that a leader should have. That would make him say, "This is the direction we are going," and every other person says, "We must follow this direction." So when you consider goals and assists, that's the stats. When you consider his leadership attributes, when you consider what he offers in overall gameplay, that's the high test now. do you consider Martin Odegaard the right person to lead Arsenal forward? You think he's the captain, he's the player, that creative spark that Arsenal need to get themselves over the line and win titles? Because let's not kid ourselves. Arsenal have been close to titles over the last 2 seasons. They've finished second for I think 3 seasons in a row now. This season they're close to an appearance in the Champions League final. They've won the Community Shield, obviously. That's a one-off game. But there's still this bit of there's still a belief that they're missing something to take them over the line, to take them, to make them consistent champions. I think that Martin Odegaard is that guy to lead them over that line. Do you think he has it? I'm going to start with a non-Arsenal fan because I know that Arsenal fans will take our time on this topic, so I want to give them special time to talk about it. I'll begin with our resident Arsenal hater, Cass.
I don't hate Arsenal. Don't see Tayo. Can you ignore the whatever adjective is using to qualify me? However, I've said these things. I've said these things before now. I've said it in the past. In as much as I don't believe Odegaard is a good captain, like you said, he doesn't have the charisma. Everybody knows. Everybody can see
I didn't
that.
say it didn't have
But then
it does not have charisma. Please don't put words in
he
my
doesn't.
mouth, though. I just said you should consider it too. Don't say like I said it does not have it.
Yeah,
I did not say
no,
that, though.
okay.
Because they will now
I
come and
can
attack
see.
me in
I
my
can
sleep.
see. No. I can see that it doesn't really have the charisma. However, you can only lead a team that has every of his puzzles almost solved to win a trophy. Arsenal has been playing without a striker for a very, very, very long time. Everybody has said it. Even people within Arsenal have said, we know we need a striker. What are we going to do? I
Not
told
just
people, I
a
said,
striker.
there's some conversation we have about Arsenal. There are some conversations we have about Arsenal. And the conversation would have been different if, for example, this second leg they are going for, they have probably an Osimhen in the front or a Gyökeres in the front or even
Isaac.
a Darwin Nunes in the front. Trust me, the conversation would have been different. But they are going into a game without a striker, and your aim is that you want to go and get a goal. You want to score. That is your plan. How do you interpret? It makes, we know that Odegaard doesn't have the charisma. He doesn't have this. It now makes it more difficult for him to even interpret now that we are going into this game without a striker. Our aim that we must get 2 or 3 goals. So I feel the problem does not just stop on the head of Odegaard, which I know is part of the problem. It trickles down to the management, trickles down to, because I just feel by default, Arsenal just likes to play with one missing puzzle every season. Instead that this season, they will know that they have 1.5 midfield player, and then they will convert a left back to come and play the midfield, and then they will man, and then they will finish second. They will say, "Oh, we tried." I think they're just probably they are contented with just finishing in those positions, and probably that's the goal for the entire management team,
Okay.
because they never solve their problem. They have never seen Arsenal saying, "This is the problem, and we are going to solve this problem." I've never seen Arsenal done it before, never.
Okay.
So
I understand all of your points, even though I think that you did not particularly answer the question
no, I
the way
answered.
I
I said
was.
Odegaard. I don't think Odegaard has it. I don't think he has the charisma to carry the team. But I'm just saying the job now becomes even more difficult. Even if you change from Odegaard to someone, because we've seen captains who don't really have the aura, but because they are around a very good, complete, compact team, they will get things done.
Well,
So
I also believe that as a captain, there are certain things that you can influence. And I'm going to stick with Arsenal now. I remember when Henry was at Arsenal, one of the reasons, if and Arsenal fans can correct me, one of the reasons that he eventually left Arsenal for Barcelona was because he did not feel like Arsenal were matching his ambition because he wanted to win the Champions League. And the players that Arsene Wenger was bringing in at the time, did not particularly reflect the fact that he was and he was a target for Arsenal. I think the same thing happened with Robin van Persie, even though there was the contractual, dispute on the side. But at some point, I read that Robin van Persie was pressuring either Wenger or the Arsenal board to get the squad a certain level of players to allow them compete, on a regular basis.
on a bigger
And I
stage.
think that that's one of the things that comes with being a captain as well. You have to be able to ginger your coach or ginger management, not in a rude manner, but softly to let them know that, okay, if we need to challenge, we need to get certain players. I've read situations where um, as a Manchester United players would tell Fergie back in the day that we need to get so player. I think it happened with
Mm.
Ronaldo after they played the friendly game. And they went to meet him and said, we need to get this player. This is a player that we must get. And obviously, the coach listened and they eventually got the guy. So, in my opinion, I think that Odegaard might be missing that. But I'll just allow you guys, like I said, we're not just looking at his charisma alone, we're also looking at what he offers in terms of stats. Does he contribute enough goals and assists? In terms of Arsenal's gameplay, does he do much to really guarantee success for the team as a whole? I'll let Tayo go next.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I no go lie. On top this Odegaard matter, too many things surround them. I'll be very, very realistic. First of all, in terms of the captain handband, even Arteta go don rethink am say no be Odegaard suppose collect am after making some new signings. I feel there are other players in that team who can actually do better with that armband. Yeah, on that front. Then on the other side, about his performances, um, Odegaard is not someone who's actually terrible when it comes to his gameplay,
Obviously, he's not a terrible
but
player.
I feel the injury he had recently actually changed his gameplay. Although people are throwing the sticks, he's been bad. This guy gave us two good seasons, even though his assists and goals were not that crazy. But then you know that yes, Odegaard was playing. But then he got injured with Norway, came back, and since then he hasn't been himself. Uh, I would say that moving forward, I don't think Odegaard is the man to take us forward for me because he might never go back to his old self anymore. Yeah, and to do that, we either have to either chip him out or bench him. And of course, at that age, you don't want to bench your captain, and you expect him to stay, and you expect him to stay back. So we are probably seeing in 1 or 2 seasons we might have to probably chip out Odegaard for 1 or 2 reasons because I don't see him taking us forward. Because the way Ateta plays now, Ateta plays a game where you tell Odegaard to play with Saka most times, and this is Saka who gets marked by 2, 3 players on the wing. So once you dead Saka, Odegaard becomes useless. It's as simple as that. Before you think of moving to the other side, you see him just turning around, turning like one
Tony
roasted
O'Neill.
chef. You get so it doesn't make any sense. So for me, the captain handband, if is a very big call to retrieve it from him. But I would prefer Rice or Gabriel leading us on that front. Rice is more commanding, much more
Good
effective, gives
candidate.
you a 7.5 at least rating every game day. You know,
And he has
Gabriel
the
is also
experience with the
performing.
band as well, although at a
Of
smaller club.
course, yeah, of course. But of course, even in this team, you can see his influence, the way he talks, the way he reacts. Look at when Partey had that useless red card against
He
Madrid.
got the yellow card. Yeah,
he,
yellow
he,
card.
he called him to caution, bro. What are you doing? It makes no sense. And of course, we lost the first leg against PSG. So for me, Odegaard is not that man. I won't lie to you. He has really dropped form, and in terms of charisma, he doesn't have it. So that's my take.
All right. Ahmed, what do you think?
Well, Taya has made some valid points, but one thing I'll start with is that let's not forget that when Odegaard was appointed as the captain of this Arsenal side, he was very much their best player at that point in time. But currently, I don't think he's the right man for that role, considering that currently he's not even Arsenal best player. We'll be pointing at players like Saka, Declan Rice, Thomas Partey, Saliba, Gabriel, and these are players who have better mentality currently. like Ty rightly mentioned, Rice and Saliba, they've proven to uh, have a bit of leadership charisma in them. You've seen that in the middle of games, giving orders. But would can Arsenal make the tough decision of stripping Odegaard of captaincy to accord it to someone who is more deserving? This is one tough decision that can unsettle teams. I would make an example with AC Milan. They did something similar. Calabria was a captain at some point. We noticed that he was not even good enough to start in his role at some point, and Milan adjusted accordingly and awarded the ban to Magnan. So at this point, too, I think Arsenal should do something similar. But talking of Odegaard leading Arsenal to a trophy, that is a really tough task because, like Last mentioned, some things are missing in this Arsenal side. Arsenal is one team that have been playing without a top quality striker for a long while. Ever since the likes of Van Persie has left Arsenal, they've just been making do with striker people who are claiming to be strikers like Havertz and co there. But those
They
are
had
not
Milan
world
legend
class.
Olivier Giroud. Please don't disrespect your legend.
Those Giroud is not someone you rely on consistent. He would give you those days that you would save you on days, but he's not the caliber of Haaland, Isak, Osimhen. They are not. Giroud is not someone you rely on a consistent basis to deliver for you. He's not someone who stands in the opposition box and the defenders are shaking. So I think Arsenal needs to look in that direction. They need to finally get that puzzle solved. They need a top striker, a top marksman that would always give opposition something to worry about. So if they get that in place, I believe that would definitely add to their quality because they've always been found wanting in that regard, especially this season that their defense has been very good. Their midfield department has been really good too. But come to think of it, up front, aside Saka, they've had some inconsistent forwards. Havertz, Trossard, those are not names that are meant to be reckoned with for a side that is looking to win
Merino.
titles. No, no, no. Marino is even a midfielder, but he's been sacrificing to play the striking role for them recently. But over the course of the season, those decisions would haunt you. You need a top striker to actually get you over the line. So those are decisions Arsenal need to put in place at the end of this season, going into next season, if they actually want to get over finishing second position.
All right. That's quite a good point. Tosin, let's hear your thoughts.
Right. Tayo has mentioned few things I'm supposed to say. Um, Regarding Odegaard, I would say he's not a bad player. Is he a good captain? I would say no, because he doesn't have the charisma, the respect. Because there are some players, if you notice, there are some players that the referees themselves they respect. Does referees respect Odegaard? I would say no. So, Tayo mentioned in Arsenal's team, we have two leaders, as far as I'm concerned, Declan Rice and Gabriel. And for Odegaard's performance this season, yeah, I would say the injuries because for the past two seasons he has really played for us, especially I think 2023 he had a good season when we bought I think Zinchenko and Gabriel. Arsenal had a good season. Then after when we bought Kai Havertz, the form everybody's form dropped, and I really don't know.
Wow.
I think it was when um
Generational
uh
talent.
it was when Xhaka left the team and Kai came in, and I still believe this is what must have affected Arsenal getting a striker because the board themselves they had to draw back. I knew Ateta asked for money to get a striker, but they gave you money to get someone. You bought Havertz, and it didn't work for you in the midfield. You
60
had to play him
million.
as a You have to play him as a center. 65 million actually. You have to play him as a
Ah,
center forward. You have to play him as a center forward,
Anybody can.
which the board
Haters, haters.
wants him to at least. The, the board wants
that
him
is a
to
It's
at
not so much
least.
sackable
as haters.
offense.
We support teams from leagues that are very poor. So 65
That's a
million is one
sackable
team's
offense.
It's a
entire
lot
transfer
of
budget.
money.
That's
It's
Yeah.
It's a
a
lot
lot
of
of
money.
money to us.
So so you can imagine
you buy Syria,
getting
11
adverts to
players in
come.
Syria with that.
So getting players to come replace Xhaka, and at the end of the day, you have to play him as a center forward, which the board does not have any choice and not to give you money to get a striker. So I don't blame the board for not giving Ateta money to get a striker. But now Ateta knows that he needs to get a striker. Arsenal's forward is really bad. Apart from Saka, Martinelli to me is not improving. We don't have a center forward, and I believe these are the reasons why Arsenal has not been up there. We've been maintaining that. Ateta has really done very well to always at least maintain that second because the quality of players that he has, well, these are his players actually, but he needs to go out to get quality players at least
Netflix
in
FC.
that Arsenal forward. I think the last time Arsenal had a good striker was Aubameyang. Since Aubameyang left, Arsenal has not replaced him.
So you're trying to
Good
say that
Do you
striker,
get what I mean?
bad
we
team.
So
need to we need
Well,
to give
you
him
have to say,
a good
I
striker to
agree with
return it.
Tosin. You have to say that Arteta has done a really good job on that end. Because I look at Arsenal's attack, for example, Martinelli, Havertz, and Saka, and I see a trio of players that cannot guarantee you 50 goals in a season. Three of them combined.
yeah.
50 goals.
So
At least in every team, if you're playing a front three, you have a main man and maybe two supporting cast. Like in
yeah,
Liverpool now, you have Salah as the main man, and you have the other two, whether it's
Gakpo,
Diaz or Jota
uh
or Gakpo or whoever.
Gakpo.
And you expect that your main man would at least get you, say, 25 to 30
20.
goals,
20 goals, at least
guaranteed.
20
And then
Premier League
the other
goals.
two can maybe share another 20 goals between them. But with us now, you do not have that. It's quite, unfortunate really. But I'll let I'll let Samson give us his thoughts on this discussion so that we can quickly round up.
Okay, there's no way you would answer this question without towing the cast line. And the truth is, uh, you cannot really blame Odegaard to an extent. Let us use a team like Man City as an example now, and look at what is happening to Phil Foden.
Babe,
Phil Foden
babe.
was the best player last season,
Yeah, I'll meet you soon.
and he started the season very poorly. And the team has moved on from him. If Phil Foden was in Arsenal, I bet you he would be playing every week. Good or not good or he will keep playing. And that's what lack of competition does to players. Odegaard knows whether he's the captain or not. He's part of the first names on the team sheet. I was discussing with somebody recently, and I just told the person that if Arsenal really wants to be brutal with this Premier League chase, let them go to Man U and buy Bruno Fernandes. I'm telling you, Fernandes and Odegaard in your creative department, it makes you scarier
I mean,
for
that's at
teams.
least another 15 goals that you've added to the team.
Another 15 goals that you've
Least.
added to the team just with one buy. So the team is not competitive. Even Saka goes on droughts, and there's nobody to come in and fill in the boots. So you
Sterling.
you you can't answer even Sterling. So it's difficult to really blame Odegaard. On a personal level, Odegaard is not that guy. Odegaard is not supposed to be your most creative player. Odegaard is supposed to be your Phil Foden for Kevin De Bruyne. You will have a Kevin De Bruyne and you will have an Odegaard that can come in for 2, 3, 5, 10 games and relieve the main guy. So generally, Arsenal just needs to build a competitive squad. Will they build it? The
Quality
answer
in
is
depth.
no. The answer is
Perfect.
no.
Okay. So the
100%.
consensus is that it is both parties have to share the blame, and I mean Odegaard and Arsenal management, because we're not talking about Arteta now. Arsenal need to provide the management need to provide Arteta with a
Unfortunately,
competitive team, and
Ateta is part of the whole process. So
if you have a competitive team, it then means that possibly you're able to select a better captain, a more quality captain, or hopefully because of the competition that would come with having a competitive team, players like Odegaard can then step up and deliver maybe on a more consistent
Ah,
basis, which is quite
that's the
good.
way of so
I
bro.
think tonight's
Man, to the don't video
conversation,
I
tonight's discussion has been quite productive. I've enjoyed every bit of it, both the
man,
first
no come
session and the
here.
second session. I appreciate all of you guys for turning up today. Tayo has disappeared. JD struggled a bit with his equipment today, but we try to ensure that's not a problem going forward. Thank you guys for showing up tonight. Do you guys have any last words?
PSG
I wish
2,
Arsenal all the
Arsenal
best.
0.
Um,
A
you
Dembele-less,
can put your money on it if you are
Dembele-less
interested.
PSG.
Every time Munich has hosted the Champions League final, a new team that has never won the Champions League has won it.
I
So
always
Thank you.
copying what you used to
That's
say,
PSG.
Peter.
as
But
So
it's not
Arsenal,
But
superstition.
don't
that's
actually
anytime a
thank
pope
you
superstition,
is
now
bro.
dying,
because PSG has
anytime a
never
pope
won
has
it as
died.
well.
That's
So
PSG. PSG is the new
it would
team.
have to be one of Arsenal or
You can
PSG.
put your
Now
money
only
on it.
No,
players
no,
that
but
Arsenal is coming back.
anytime a pope has died, an English team has always won the Champions League as well. So I think it's centering
Superstition they
around
call
Arsenal at the moment.
superstition coinciding
uh,
with
now
superstition
only
now.
players that
Let me add this one too. Every time Inter has played Bayern Munich and Barcelona in the Champions League, they've won the Champions League.
exactly.